What were you
in
doing?
your motor? No.
Yeah, no, I was married Lucy when I was with the mules.
No, you were the motorman. You were a motorman by then.
When did I get hurt?
Right after we got married.
That's when they took me out of the mines and
You got
that I
screwed.
was no, I drove the mules then.
Oh.
I was driving the mules then.
How'd you get hurt? What happened?
Well, I took the mules in to pull this one car out, see, and I went over and it was a tight squeeze for me to get around. I couldn't get around. And I got in there and I got wedged. I couldn't get out. And somebody was blowing, it exploded the coal out, and the mules got shook, and they pulled out, and I was in there, in between the trap and the car. And the mule started up and took me through it, and I fell on the side, and the mules went out. So they called the miner and labor. They come down out of the place, and they found me laying on the side of the road. Then they run out, and they had a signal on a bell that you tap so many times that they needed help, that there's someone hurt. And it's in the first aid men down. So they run out and they did that, and they run down, brought the stretchers and everything, put me on the stretchers and put me on the motor, took me outside. Instead of taking me to the hospital, they took me up to my mother's place.
The mine was right near your
Yeah.
place.
The mine was near the home. So they put me in the ambulance and took me up to my mother's place and put me on the couch, and I was laying there, and they called Lucy down.
We were just married about a month or so,
Yeah.
I guess. And Tony come up for me, and he said, we want you to come up to Mom's house. And we come up, and there he's sitting there with all his ribs bandaged.
Everything bandaged up and everything, and I lay there for a week.
Break ribs?
Yeah.
So tell him about how when the men would die, how they'd steal their shoes.
So,
How many?
I'll tell you some stories. Every one I'm going to tell you is true. I think the first time, let me think.
Tell about the first guy that you saw killed. Do you remember that one?
Oh, the first accident that I've ever seen was a coal miner making a gangway. You had to make a square block. You had to take all the rock out and all the coal, and then you keep going. See, every foot that they went. So this day, Joe Barbini was his name. The labor run out and said, Joe Barbini's shot. The explosion in his place. So in we go, and there he was, laying there, his whole face, all just like a meat block. And they knocked one of his eyes out. So we bandaged him up, carried him down to the engine house, and then they called for the motor to bring in blankets and everything for him to patch him up. So we took him out, and he cursed. Oh, he swore and cursed and everything else. So we bandaged him, took him out. Believe it or not, about 5 years later, he came out working in the mines, Bob, and he went in and he did the same damn thing. And he went in, drilled the holes, filled it with dynamite, put the fuses on, went out. Somebody else's explosion, it's all in the whole mines, And he thought that it was his
That exploded.
that exploded.
So you went back in.
So he went back in, and the smoke from the other guy went down into that place where he was, and he takes his lamp off his head, and he's going through the whole, up to his place to see what he has in there, how it worked. Boom! Everything come up and hit him in the face. We went in. First one knocked one eye out. Then
first accident.
First accident that he had knocked one guy out. This time, he got it good. It didn't kill him. He was, we just picked him up, put him in the stretchers, and took him out.
Was he blind?
Oh, yeah, he was blind, yeah. Oh, he was a miserable man after that.
I can imagine.
Well, you know, his
You dirty son of a bitch, he said, you killing me. He's cursing the Lord. He said, you son of a bitch, he said, you do this to me. Yeah.
Well, you know, Helen, his sister's father-in-law,
Father,
was in an explosion like that. Do you remember him, Bob? I guess not. Do you remember?
remember his face, how he is?
His face was all black and
He had
blue.
no hands.
No hands.
No
He blew
hands,
his two hands
no-
off, and he's blind, and he used to hold his pipe with his little thumb, and he'd smoke that pipe, and he was blind, but he
There were a lot of people had that black face,
yeah,
black scars.
Well, look at my Uncle William.
Yes, Uncle William.
yeah.
I was working there, and when I was nipping at the door, and they come through with him, and it was my Uncle William. My brother was, Tony, he was with him, and he got shot in the face, knocked both of his eyes out.
And boy, he lived down the street, and he would walk up that street.
Yeah, he
knew
knew where
every
he was.
step.
He'd walk that whole hill with the cane, and he'd know where he was.
A lot of people were blind. Or,
So, going back to the mules, Steve Foster was my runner. I'm telling you about the accidents that I
I
went
know.
through. So,
We're about to run out of tape on this one, so kind of wind this up and we'll do another tape tomorrow.
Yeah.
Is this been going over scenario? You get tired?
That's finished.
okay.
Well, let him finish his story.
You want
Wind
me to
this one
finish
up.
this with this,
Wind this one up, yes.
So I had the mules, and we went into this gangway. Sam Borletti was the miner and his labor. So, took the car out, the coal car out. I pulled an empty one into him. I reached around, brought the mules around, and then we had a pulley and a rope to pull the car into where the car miner is working. So you would put one hook on the car, on the front of the car, and one hook on the mules' spreaders, and they had a pulley in there. And the mules would go, and the car would go in. And I hollered, "Whoa," to the mules. "Whoa, Phil." And pretty soon, they started, and the ears started to go, and they were going like that. And, so I reached down and I got a hold of the spreader and the chain, and I pulled it back, and when I did, the mules went. And I hollered, "Ma, I'm telling you the truth, honest to God, I'm not lying." I had hollered, "Sam Belady, please come running, hurry up, run, come out." So they come out. Sam, when they come out, and we ran out, down comes the roof.
The
If I
mules
didn't get
sensed
them
it.
mules out, if that wasn't for them mules, it broke that timber and everything come
Had a
right down.
cave in.
It'd have killed the two of them. And we run. When we run down the cave.
Would
The
kill
Lord-
them, but what about you?
I was there.
You see, the mules could
The
sense
mules,
the
the mules
danger.
sent it,
Yeah.
see? And the rats, when the rats...
That's why they never killed a rat in the mines.
Yeah.
Because if a rat ran away, they knew there was danger there. They wouldn't. They used to feed the rats, didn't you?
Oh, yeah. Well, we used to have a lot of fun with them, though. Yeah.
What'd you do to him?
My buddy and I, we'd fix the engine would break down, Then I got a little job electrician. And my buddy and I would go in and working on the engine, and we'd there sit down, and we had carried our lunch with us all the time, our buckets and our tools. So we're sitting down there and looked over, and there was some big rats about that big around. They asked him, he says, "Let's have some fun." I said, "How?" So I went over to the platform, and we got a shovel. Got the shovel, put the shovel over the side there. Got the wire. We had some wire there, about 20 feet of wire. put the wire on the shovel,
Shovel was metal.
metal. We
Uh.
put the bread on it, you know. And then at the engine, it was electric engine, see, it's 250 volts. DC. So, okay, put it on. Pretty soon, there's something. Up comes this big rat, you know. You get up at his back, on his legs, hind legs, and he's looking in. Sees the bread. So I said, Lee, don't kill him. Don't hit him yet. When he gets on the shovel. So the rat reached over and he's got on the pond, and I give him a shot. Whee! The rat jumped about that high.
Did it kill him?
No.
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 They would kill
So,
him.
that didn't kill him. You believe it or not, about 5 minutes after, we were sitting there talking, and he says, listen, up comes the two rats.
They're talking to each other.
Talking to each other, you know. So the two rats come up to the shovel,
They're looking for more bread.
get up there and they look at the new one, you know, his buddy. You know,
Oh, you can't tell you go get it.
And it's labor with it.
So they were there and this one, he went like that, you know, to the shovel. He said, don't touch him yet. He said, till the two of them get on it. They got on that shovel and we give it to them. Whoa! I didn't see whose hair fly with them two rats go.
No, they would kill the rat.
We didn't, no. That's what my
Because-
father told me a lot of times. He says, whatever you do, don't kill a rat in the mines, he says, because they save a lot of lives, just like a canary did.
Yeah, you took canaries down there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could sense the danger.
How much more is on that one?
I don't know.
Let's stop.
That's
Let's-
stop.
Okay, we'll go ahead and stop for now.
You've been doing it an hour. It's tiring. You won't realize.
Go ahead,
And-
it's on.
You know,
About your
Yeah.
first aid.
when you work in the mines, there's a lot of accidents that happens. So I was on the first aid team. And when anything could happen in the mines, they'd always call for a first aid instructor. You were in different sections of the mines. So this one day, went in and they come looking for me. They said, come on, King. George Miller got hit up in his place. I said, okay. So we went up, locked up, took us about 20 minutes to get to where he was. And Jim McGrew was our foreman. He says, well, King, he says, we got a bad one. I said, what is it? He said, George Miller, he says, is under the rock. He said, we have to find him. I said, okay. There was a slab of rock about that high, that thick, about 50 feet in diameter, and it fell on top of him. Lucky for us that when it fell, it broke in two pieces, and it left an opening about 1.5 foot opening from one side to the other, and it tipped a little bit. So Jim McGrew said, well, King, he said, we'd have to find him. I said, well, Jim, I said, there's only one way we're going to find him. I said, I'll find him. So I took my hat off and lamp, got down on the rock, laid down. I said, we're going to have to smell for him. So we got down and I put my head down and get in between the two rocks. And I worked myself up between the two rocks with my head and my shoulder down. And I come where he was at. I could smell him.
How could you smell him? Was he dead?
He was dead in a nail.
Then how could you smell him? He stunk?
Oh, yeah, their body fluids, I guess.
He stunk. So
You could smell them, I think.
we says, well, Jimmy's dead. So we're going to have to get down to the shaft and get them two jacks, the road jacks. They're big jacks, you know, them big jacks that you use on the railroad tracks out here in the, they're big high ones. So we got two jacks and they got some blocks and they cut the blocks in 1 foot pieces of timber. And we gotta come up with the 2 jacks in the car. They pulled us up the pitch because the jacks were too heavy to carry. And then we carried him in to where he was at, went up and worked our way in between the rock that split open. It was only about that wide. And we got the 2 jacks down on the side where he was in, one on this side and one on this side. And we started to jack the rock up. And we jack it up so far. Then we'd work the blocks underneath the rock. And then we'd work the jack up, put something under the jack to bring the rock up farther. And we'd start jacking and jacking up. And we got it up about 1.5 feet. And then we quit smelling. And I said, give me the light, Jim. I said, see if we can find it, see where he's at. I got the light down and there he was. He was at least over 6 foot. He weighed about 200 pounds. And I looked at him and I said, well, Jim, I said, you know how big Miller was? He said, yes, he's a big man. I said, he's no big man now. I said, he's flattened down like that. I said, everything, his whole body is just laid out. The whole length of his body. Well, he says, okay. He says, we get the stretcher and he says, can you reach him? I said, well, let me try. So I got down and I reached in and I got a hold of his clothes. I said, I got him. He says, well, start pulling him. So we got him out to the edge of the rock and we put the stretcher, the rubber stretcher down in between the rocks. And when we picked it up about 1 foot and laid it out. And I reached in with my both hands and I started to pull him out. And when I did, the smell was so bad that it made me throw up. I couldn't stand it anymore. And I said, Jim, I said, I can't do it. I said, I'm starting to throw up. He said, well, he said, he was a Scotchman. He said, anybody around here got any tobacco? So some of the guys said, yeah, we have some tobacco, Jim. He said, give it to me. So he got the pack of tobacco and he put it in his mouth and he put a handkerchief around his mouth. He said, let me down there now. So he reached in and he pulled him out and he was like a sponge. He was to flatten that out. He would flatten. So we got him on Jim pulled him all out. We got him on the stretcher. Pulled him out and pulled him up. It was just like a towel. It was
limp.
Limp. And every bone in his body was just crushed and everything. He was flattened out. So Jim says, well, he says, we'd have to roll him around, he says, and roll him in the stretcher to get him out. And then he told the 2 guys, he said, you get down there, and you get down here, and you, King, he said, get over on this side, and he said, I'll get in this side. He says, then we reached down, that's when he was on the stretcher. So he pulled him up out of that place like that. It was just like mush, like a sponge. When you get a sponge and you squeeze it in, that's how he was. Then we got him on the rubber pad, rolled him up, and then put him on the stretcher and took him down. This was at 3:30. Yeah, 3:30. Well, 3:30 we changed shifts and put him on a stretcher and put him on our shoulder. We carried him out, and down come the men from changing shifts. It made no difference. Who is it? That's the first answer. Who is it? George Miller. Well, so long, George. Way to go. There's nothing happened. But you see, years ago, when you work worked in the mines when I was a young boy. My father used to tell us that when anybody got killed in the mines, if he died, he got killed, he's dead. So they'd take him and put him on the side and put the jackets and everything off. And if you had new shoes on, they'd take the shoes off him. And if you had new, anything good, the men would take it. He's dead, he's not going to use them again. So they'd leave him there till his shift was over. The reason they did that, if they took him out of the mines, they'd have to shut the whole mines down.
They wouldn't
For
get
that
paid.
day, they wouldn't get paid. So they'd leave him lay there until the shift was over, and then they'd bring him out. Take him
What
out.
if he was just hurt real bad? Would they stop and take
Oh
him
no,
out?
when you get hurt, no.
That'd be different.
When you got hurt, just like years ago, they didn't have first aid, and that's when it was rough. But when I was in, they trained us to do all the first aid work when there's broken backs or broken legs or anything like that. We were taught how to take care of them. They wouldn't touch them until we would come in with them. We'd take our equipment and go in and take care of them and take them out. That's where I got my first aid training.
You and Joe did that, right?
Joe and I, yeah.
Yeah. Y'all had the contest?
Oh, we have contests. Every year we'd have a contest, and I'll tell you, you were up against some good teams. And there was always 15 or 20 teams, and there was 5 men on the team. And you had to, when they tell you to bandage the patient up, it only took you so many minutes to do it. And then when you finished that, they'd inspect it, and you would get points for it. Lucy here, she was at a lot of contests. She knows all about it. But tell them about this one contest that we had.
They had a contest in this big baseball field in Wilkes-Barre, and Bob was about 3 years old. Before I knew it, he ran away and he ran out to his father, and it was in the middle of this contest, and he kneeled down and he said, "What you doing, Dad?" And I thought, uh-oh, he blew the whole contest for them. But the judges all got a kick out of it. They didn't take any points off,
No,
and they won.
we lost a lot of contests, and we won a lot of contests. I'm going to tell you some exciting things that happened I took care of. Well, this one day, I was running the Folly Loki, and we went into this one section that we're taking some equipment out, and we'd have to go in and take the equipment on the car and take it to another section. And my brakeman went in, and he was ahead of me. And he come running out. He says, "Come on, King." He says, "Hurry up." He says, "Something wrong." He says, "I can hear someone hollering for help." Oh, I said, "Get on, Timmy." When he did, boy, I put that controller on, and we went in there and I listened. He's hollering, "Oh." I could hear someone hollering, "Help." Oh my God, I said, "Timmy," I said, "Come on." I said, "Let's go up." We went up, and there was Danny Dump. What they did, they made a mistake. When they were pulling equipment, they had a ratchet, and there was a big chunk of equipment. They called them a shaker chute. They had 2 big irons on them. They kept flopping back and forth to bring the coal down. So I went up and I said, "Where you at, Danny?" He said, "Over here." I went over and there he was, under a prop. What he did, put the chain around the prop that's up against the roof and the bottom. And when he started to pull it, and he was pulling it, and his buddy was in the back, in at the equipment, telling him what to do. So he'd use a ratchet and he'd come inch by inch to bring it out. And when he did, he didn't notice that he was pulling the timbers. The timber's like this, and then there's one on top. And it's that big around, the timber that's holding the roof up. So I went up and I looked, I said, "You all right, Daddy?" "Yeah," he says, I'm caught." He said, "This timber's on top of me." He said, "I can't get out." I said, "Okay." I told Timmy, I said, "Tim," I said, "come here." I reached in, I got some rocks out from under the timber. I said, "Now, Timmy," I said, "I'm going to pick this up. I'm going to get under it, and I'm going to pick this up, and you pull Danny out." So I got underneath on my hands and knees. I got my shoulder and back under there. And I said, "Get ready, Tim." I said, "When I holler," I said, "you pick him out, pull him out." He said, "Okay." I said, "You ready?" He says, "I'm ready." Well, I said, under that timber, and I started to go. I said, and it was heavy. So I tried it. I said, "I got it moving, Timmy." I said, "Now when I give a good push," I said, "you pull Danny out." So I got under it, and I started to push. And we got it up. I said, "Pull him, Tim, pull." And he pulled him out. He pulled him out from under that timber. And I said, "How you feeling now?" He says, "Oh," he says, "I'm all right." He says, "I can't move."
I'm all right, but I can't move.
Yeah, that's what he says. "I'm all right." He says, "But I can't move, King." I said, "Okay." I told Timmy, I said, "Now," I said, "you take the motor." I said, "To run out and get out to the telephone and call for help." So he took the motor and he went out and he got on the telephone, and a bunch of first aid people came in and took him out. That's one guy that I saved.
Could he walk afterwards in the
No, no,
But he had a broken back?
broken legs. His hip was broke, his legs, and the ribs and everything, you know.
Talking about when you come from the mines, what you look like. Black all
Well,
over,
I tell
dirty.
you, we'd come home from when it was all over with.
Whites of eyes and teeth.
You know, and when I walk into Lucy, she says, "Boy, you had a tough day today." "Yeah." I said, "Yeah." The only thing you see is two white eyes and your white teeth. And your clothes,
And they wore the same clothes.
you wore the same clothes every day.
All week.
All week. Because you couldn't change.
They'd get dirty.
Dirty. You'd come home, take your clothes off,
No, you didn't.
and then you put your underwear on, you know.
No, you
and-
left your clothes in the shifting shanty.
Yeah,
Oh,
we'd
bring
hang them
them
up,
home
hang
on
'em up
Friday.
on a chain.
Oh, that smelled good in there.
Yeah.
Everybody, when you shift and shanty, take all your clothes out, there was a bucket with a chain on it, you know. You'd have your clean clothes on, and you'd bring it down, and you'd go in and take a shower, hang your old dirty clothes on the bucket, and you'd go in. You'd get about 40 or 50 men in at one time, and that was a lot of fun.
They're all taking a shower.
Everybody's
Well, you
naked.
took a shower there. Why were you so dirty when you got home? Or was that just a
Well,
rinse
that's
out?
when they got shifting shanties.
We didn't originally have them.
They didn't have them.
We didn't
in the
have them
beginning.
then, when I first started to work in the mines. And I'd come home and Lucy'd look at me, she'd say, "You had a bad day, huh?" I said, "Yep." So we take our clothes off, and you had a tub, a wooden tub.
See, you're talking about, you're going back, you didn't wash in a wooden tub when we got married.
No.
That was when you were living at
Oh,
home.
yeah. Yeah, I'm muddling myself.
Don't worry about staying in any kind of order. Just
I know,
whatever
but
comes
that
to
was
mind.
when you lived at home, when
Yeah.
you and your
Well,
brothers and
let's
all.
go back to that.
Talk about when you took a bath.
Yeah.
In a wooden tub, that was when you were young, first started
When I
working.
first started to work in the mines, yeah. Okay, we'd go it that way. At a certain time, my father, Tony, and myself, Joe wasn't working in the mines.
Why didn't you?
Because he wasn't old enough.
Oh.
Too young.
So she'd always have a big tub of water, but long as this, almost as long as that. And she'd fill it with water and put it on the stove. And in them days it was all coal that you burned. And heat the water. And then Papa'd come home, my father. She'd fill his tub up. You would strip all your working clothes off, but your underwear, your bottom underwear, you had underwear, heavy underwear on under your working clothes. Them weren't white, they were gray. first. He'd get in the tub and he'd wash himself, his face and his chest and everything. And then the only place that you couldn't wash yourself was your back. So you'd reach over in the tub, and then my mother would get a washcloth, and she would wash your back to your belt, and then rinse you off with water, and then you would finish the rest of your body by standing in a tub. And when you were finished, Tony would be the next one to do the same thing.
They all use the same water?
No,
No?
dump that water out. We didn't have sewers or anything them days. You take the water and throw it out in the yard. And bring the tub back in, and the next one would do it. Do the same thing.
Would they have outhouses then?
And we had no water in the house. You'd have to get the water from out in the street, the taps. And outhouses were down in the backyard. Back where we used to kill the pigs. Chop the heads off the chickens and ducks and everything like that. Then what the days, boy, cows, golly, I don't know. Sometimes you think about it, if they would only invent something that they could put on your head and it would show the picture what you're thinking about. And you would get some stories out of a man that worked in the coal mines. Is that almost finished?
Huh. Let me check it.
That's all right.
Well, while we're on,
Go ahead, it's on, go.
while we're on this here, when I was young, before I started working the mines, I'm going to tell you some exciting things that happened to us when we were young kids. My father and them, they'd go to work. We'd get up in the morning, and then we'd walk down to where they had the dynamite, the black powder and everything. The dynamite come in boxes, about a foot and a half long, about a foot wide, about a foot high. And they had two times, 40% and regular dynamite, just like nitro, for a blown rock. So Joe and I would get down and we'd help the guys. They wouldn't get a box of dynamite. And we they'd bring the dynamite over and they'd set it there. And they had a wooden chisel and a wooden mallet. And they'd say, okay, come on over here, Vitko. Open the box. You want the box? You get the dynamite out. So we'd go over with the box and stand it up on the sand. And with the wooden chisel and the wooden mallet, we'd tap it, open the box, and take it off. And then the men would hold a burlap bag. I'm not lying. I'm telling you the truth. They'd hold a burlap bag, you get the box of dynamite, and they dump it into the burlap bag. And you would take the boxes home. Sometimes we get 20, 25 boxes a day.
What'd you do with the boxes?
They'd make it for the chicken shandies.
Oh.
See, for in the wintertime, the chickens would freeze to death. So when we'd get a bunch of boxes, we'd take them all apart, and then we'd put them on the sides of the chicken coops. We had big chicken coops. They're just like a room in a house with all the nests and everything in there, you know, and it was good for the fleas. And that's what we do.
Chickens get fleas?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Yeah.
Do they?
Yeah.
Well, you should. Yeah, you know, you had chickens.
Yeah. They used to get the fleas, and then the smell from the dynamite would chase them out of the barn.
The chickens or the fleas?
The fleas.
Chickens couldn't get out of it.
Huh?
Chickens couldn't get out.
No, the chickens, they were in chicken coops, you know. They had nests and everything. In the summertime, they'd have lay eggs and have peeps and everything. And we had cows.
How many chickens did you have? How many cows?
Oh, we always had 4 cows and about 25 chickens.
Did you eat the chickens or use them for the eggs?
For the eggs.
The eggs.
They had white chickens and different colored chickens.
And milk the cows?
And milk the cows. And every morning you get up, you feed the cow, and then you'd open the gate, and the cow would go out. itself. It'd be gone all day in the woods. And then when you don't come home from school, you'd get the bell. And you'd go up in the woods and you'd ring the bell for the cow. And the cows would come to you and you'd lead the cow back to the house, put him in the barn. My mother would go out and jump, 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 milk the cow. Boy, the bags used to be that big when they came in with the cows. A lot of milk, everything, fresh milk.
Y'all drank a lot of milk all over.
Yeah, well, sure, and then she used to make that cottage cheese from it too. Put it in a bag,
Cheesecloth,
like a cheesecloth. She used to make them about that high and about that big around. She put the milk in there and leave it stand, you know. And when it would get hard, they make cheese out of it. Yeah?
She baked good bread too.
Oh, boy, she'd make bread. She'd make about 12 or 13 loaves of bread, and they were big ones. All cold stove. Everything was cold. And then we'd all come home from work. When I was working, she'd have a big table. And there was 10 of us at the table. And my mother used to cook
Well, there was
everything.
11 of you in the house.
No, wait a minute,
Oh.
10 at the table. Mom would serve the 10 of us around the table. She'd bring all the meal around first. She would cook potatoes, meat. But during the war, First World War, them were the days. You guys out there don't know what it is to live them days. We used to have, the only thing we used to use was lard when they'd kill a pig and skin the pig and melt the lard. And that's what we used to use on bread, on the bread. Smear the lard on to have it during the First World War. I know, I remember that. I don't think I didn't. Gosh, them were the bad days. Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know. To think of it,
Talk about the good days.
the good days?
Yeah.
Ah,
They're now.
now is the good days.
Oh, no,
yes.
hey, you missed your chance. The good day was the day you met her.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
You didn't tell me how did you meet her? How did you meet this old lady?
How we met Lucy and I.
She chased
Joe-
you and chased you and chased you.
Joe and I, we used to go to the parks,
Fernbrook Park.
Fernbrook Parks.
Were you a lifeguard?
Ferris
Were
wheel
you a
and everything.
lifeguard or
No, he was
we were a
bouncer.
bouncer. Joe and I was
Bouncer.
the bouncers
At a dance hall.
at a dance hall. Fred Waring and
All of them.
all them big
Glenn
bands,
Miller,
you know, Glenn Miller,
Fred
and
Waring.
Fred Waring.
All of the big bands played there.
Joe was bouncer at one door and I was bouncer at the other door. And one night we were there and who walked in but this young Jane.
We can't say a
Beautiful.
Disney blonde because she wasn't a blonde, right?
No, no, she was brunette.
I didn't wear my glasses, and I couldn't see without glasses. But everybody said,
Oh, well.
you'll never get a boyfriend wearing glasses. So I went
Oh.
out that night and I didn't wear my glasses.
So I looked at her, I called Joe, I said, hey, come here. He said, what's the matter? I said, see that Jane over there? I said, she's beautiful. I said, that's going to be my wife.
And he
Get out, he said, what are you talking about?
And he come over and he said to me, hi, Lucy. And I said to him, how did you know my name? And he said, my girlfriend's name is Lucy. I call everybody Lucy. And I said, that's my name.
Yeah.
So then he said to me, can I take you and your girlfriend home? Because I was with my girlfriend. And I said, oh, okay. So they took us home. All of us went in the same car. They only had one
You
car.
mean you picked her up?
Yeah.
And whoa!
So then he
We
said,
got this on tape, Bob.
so then he said to me, how about going out tomorrow night? I'll pick you up and we'll go to the Fernbrook. I'll take you to the dance again. And I said, nah, I don't want to. I really didn't want to go to them. I didn't like them.
I forced myself onto her.
And I thought, I'm going to wear my glasses. I can't see what's going on. So I wore my glasses and I got in the car. And Joe was driving. He's in the back seat. And I got in the car and he said, golly, you look like a school teacher with those glasses.
Yes.
So then I worked in the silk mill. And in the coal mines, I only worked 1 or 2 days a week. So I'd come out of the silk mill after working all day, and there he'd be sitting in the car waiting to take me home. I only lived a block away.
Block away, I'd take her home, wait for her to get it, so we'd go out.
So then they had one car, and Tony would have a car one night, and Joe would have a car one night, and he'd have a car one night. So he started paying them off with quarters so that he would, especially Tony.
Yeah.
Tony would take the quarter and say, "Here, take the car."
Take the car. And then when I didn't have the car, we'd go over on the streetcar. We'd get down and get the streetcar from near our house, but there were no sides on it. The seats were in the sides on the streetcar. And we'd go over to the dance, and when the dance
All of the
was over,
big bands played there.
Yeah.
How much does a streetcar run?
10 cents, nickel.
nickel, 5 cents.
Everything was a nickel or a dime.
It'd run till 12 o'clock. And
Well, I was working and he wasn't because his mother would only give him $2 on payday, no matter how much he made.
When I started to work in the mines, when you got your pay, you walk 1.5 miles from one colliery to the other colliery to get your pay. And then when you get there, there'd be about 500 men lined up all around, you know, they make a line. And there was a shanty there with a window on it, with a screen, and the bottom was open about 4 inches, and then you would reach in, you would touch the pen, and they would give you your money. It was all cash in an envelope. And who was standing there? There was always 4 policemen with rifles
Gee.
inside where all the money was, you know, because they had a lot of holdups.
Sure, because the mafia was around them days.
Mafia, they robbed one train. See, they'd have one train, the engine come up with one car on it with all the money. And then they would run it in there, and that's where you'd get paid.
And then on
And
payday,
then on payday,
you get $2 from your mother.
wait a minute, that's when things got good.
Oh.
That's when we got good. When I first started, Mom had sat there on the chair with the apron. Pop would come with his envelope, throw it in the apron. Tony would come, throw it in the apron. Vitko would come with his pay, throw it in the envelope, in the apron. Mom would take them out, open them up, count the money. Then she put all the change on the side. She'd roll the money up, open the bus, put the money down in there. Now she says, "We're gonna pay you." You, Pop, would get $1. Tony would get 50 cents. I would get a quarter because that was the last one. And that had to last you.
Till the next pay.
Yep.
Payday was what,
Well,
once a
them
week,
days,
once a month?
a quarter, half a dollar. And that,
You could get a lot of
You
stuff.
could get a lot of stuff. Everything was a penny. And for a movie, when you wanted to see a movie, you'd go down early. And you'd go and see the manager and ask him, say, "Now, I want to see this movie tonight. What can I do?" He says, "Okay." He says, "You come in and I'll send you with the reel up Miners Mills." See, there was Miners Mills is up here, Parsons is here. And then East End was on another section. And they would trade film. And when the show was over, they had an intermission in between while they changed reels. So that runner would run to this one with the one that was finished down there, and the runner from there would run it back. And then when this runner, he'd run up to the other one with the one that he brought to here, and he would take it up there, see? And they would run it that way. They changed it 3 times. But you only paid a nickel to get in
That's why they call them Nickelodeons.
Yeah,
So
get
many
into the
nickel.
movies. And everything was silent. You read it, you know, there was no
Silent
voice or
movies.
nothing. And the whole guy with the piano was
Of
playing
the
there.
organ.
The organ, you have organ to play him. They were good days.
So that's where you took her on dates?
I don't think we got to too many movies. We went to all those, we were always going to the
Well, I
park.
moved to the park, see, because Lucy, Joe and I were bouncers, and everybody knew us, you know. We'd go to parks and everything. And when a fight started in them dances, Joe would say, "Let's go." We'd go over and tap him on the shoulder. "Behave, or don't you go?" And some of them, they were rough. So I said, "Well, Joe, what do you think?" Joe said, "I think you better go." Tap him on the shoulder, "Now get out." The guy wouldn't get out, we'd throw him out. He'd get a hold of him by the neck, and I'd get a hold of him by the neck and the arms, and out the door he'd go. And he wouldn't come back no more neither. When we throw him out, they wouldn't come back. And that was it. Because Joe and I were, when we were young, that's where we learned how to fight. They say families don't fight, you got another thing coming. When
You and Joe would fight?
When
Amongst
we'd fight,
yourselves?
yes,
They fought all their lives.
fight. We'd fight like crazy. Because them days, you know, you'd get out and they'd get them boxing gloves. They were big boxing gloves. And they'd have a ring, the old timers. And they'd pick the certain kids out, you know, and put you in that ring. And that's where you learned how to fight. A lot of times the old hucksters used to come around with vegetables and everything in the wagon. And the guy was up there and he'd have a bell and he'd holler, "Vegetables, vegetables." So we'd hide in the yard as the wagon is going by with the vegetables. We'd run out of the back of the bag in the wagon, jump up in the wagon and throw the vegetables out to the kids.
Joe was the real,
Oh,
he
yeah.
was the,
He was a gangster boy.
what did he do with that lady at that horse and carriage that, when he would drive her around town in her horse and carriage? He had a violin, didn't he?
And they wanted Joe to be a musician. So Mom,
Just think him with a fight.
Mom and my Uncle William, he said, "We're going to make him a musician." He said, "Okay." So they get down to an old store there, and they went in and they had a violin, small one. So they bought that damn thing for about $1. They bring it home. And my uncle's going to teach Joe how to play the violin. If you wanted to heard the squealing, that went on for a couple of months. So my father got drunk one time. He came in. Joe said, "Yee, yee, yee, yee." He said, "That's enough of that. No more violin. You gotta go." So they took the violin back. My uncle took it off of Joe and took the violin back. That was the end of the violin lessons for Joe.
What would he do with driving that lady around with,
Mrs. Kumple, they had a single horse. She had a store, vegetable store and groceries and everything, you know. And so she'd wait for come Friday, Thursday and Friday and Saturday was horse day. So Joe would get down with her. The hell, he was only small. She'd get him up on that wagon. She'd come out. Oh, she was a rough woman. Old woman, you know. We used to call her the witch. She'd get on the wagon. Joe would get on there and she'd say, "Okay, let's go. Get up." They'd go around all the towns with the wagon. Joe on with the horse and the wagon.
everybody laughs about Joe riding around with that horse with that old lady.
Mrs. Kumple, God bless her soul, boy, we had a lot of fun.
Let's see how much tape we got left here.
Yeah, it's gonna be hot out.
And it's noisy.
Okay, we're on and recording.
Okay, now, we're gonna tell you how I met.
You told him that, about how you met me at the dance hall.
Well, go ahead.
Yes.
You talk about it.
And you said, that's the girl I'm gonna marry.
Yeah. Did I tell you that?
Yeah, you told us
And,
that.
about Joe and I being the bouncer and
Yes.
everything?
And you said, there's the girl I'm gonna get to marry.
And, when, how we went back and forth, you'd always come over in a streetcar. The streetcar was there, and there was open sides on the side, just like in San Francisco, with an open, with the seats on the sides.
A little louder.
So we went together, we met in July, and the next April, we got married. April
Yep.
the 29th, 1937.
Yep.
And then we moved in
Is
with
she right on that date?
29th, 1937.
Is she right?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And then we moved in with his aunt because the reason we got married so fast is because his uncle died. And then she said if we didn't get married, why she'd have to put her kids in an orphanage. So I didn't want her kids to go to the orphanage, so I married him.
And we moved in with,
And we moved in with her, and she got over her grieving very fast. We moved in April, and in June she told us we had to move. So July the 1st, we moved into a little apartment on top of a grocery store.
and then before we moved out of there, she had always complained that the fence wasn't fixed around the yard. And when I went to work at night shift, and when I was coming home, the cars would have the timbers. The timbers would be 12 foot long, and they're about just nice for a fence post. I'd go over and I'd look at them and find out the chestnuts, when they don't rot as easy. And I'd put one on my shoulder and I'd bring it back down to the house.
You
where
stole it?
Where'd you make this fence?
Just let me finish.
I don't even
So
remember the
I'd
fence.
carry the fence post down,
Did you buy them or steal them?
take them out of the cars at the mines. There's
They
a bunch
weren't-
of them.
They were
yeah,
scrap. They were
hundreds of them.
scrap.
They weren't scrap.
Oh, okay, then you stole them.
She's trying to cover for
They
you.
were like railroad ties, but they were about 12 feet long. And I'd put one on my shoulder and carry it down to where we lived with my aunt. And the
Oh,
next-
we're that at her house.
At her house,
What was her name?
Bertha.
Bertha. She
Aunt
was
Bertha.
a big fat woman.
She was
She was
hard of hearing.
Beautiful woman. And she was good as gold.
But she fell in love with a guy right after her husband died a couple months after and told us we
Let
had
me
to move.
finish with the fence.
Okay.
So, we get up the next morning. I was working night shift. I'd get the saw. I had a saw there, and I'd cut the saw, cut it in half, and go onto the fence, and I'd dig a hole, and you loosen the dirt up as much as you can with the shovel and all, and then you loosen it up, and then you reach down with your hand. That's the only way you can get the dirt out. You'd have to get the fence post in about 2.5 or 3 feet, and put the fence post down, fill it up and everything. But you had to get the dirt out with your hand. There was no other way to get it out because you couldn't get the shovel. It was only about 8-inch holes. So put it in there, and I fixed her fence up for her. And I said, "Yeah, how about that, Aunt Bertha?" Ha ha ha! She says, "That's the boy, William." She used to call me William. So then she told us we had to move. Okay. So we moved up to Miners Mills.
First of all, I went looking for an apartment, and I found an apartment that's $100 a month, and nobody had any money those days. And I went and picked out all this furniture that cost about $1,000. And then somebody said to me, "You can't afford that." She said, all the family said, "You can't buy all that stuff." So then we had to cancel the apartment. It was in a doctor's office,
Yeah.
above a doctor's office. So then we moved into the apartment on Main Street,
What was the number?
40 East Main.
40 East
Huh?
Main Street. It was over a store.
71, then they changed it.
Oh.
First it was 41, then they changed it to 71. And we lived on top of this grocery store. And the milkman would come around with his horse and wagon delivering milk. He'd bring it to your house and bring it up the steps. And one day he come around the corner. What did he do, Bob? The horse?
You don't remember that?
Yeah.
Somebody, while he was coming around, someone squealed
And
like
spooked the horse.
spooked the horse. And the horse took off and he come down the street.
Right
galloping.
around that
And
corner.
he come around the corner, come down, and he come around the corner, right where all the people get on the bus and everything. And the whole milk wagon turned over into the place where we lived. We lived up on top of it. Milk all over the place and the horse laying there.
So we lived in that apartment, and that was where Bob was born, August the 5th, 1938. Was it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Day has been,
Yeah. It was the hottest day of the year, and he was born in that little apartment. All the neighbors sitting across the street, they didn't even know he was born.
the air conditioning was broken.
There was no air conditioning. They just
No
had
air
a big
conditioning.
fan. The doctor's walking around, and the perspiration is seeping through his shoes. He's squishing like he walked in water. And everybody couldn't wait for him to be born. Before he was born, our apartment was full of people waiting for me to have him. After he was born, nobody came around.
Sure, they got one look at him and.
Well, yes.
Stay away.
When they come to look at him, he was so
His head come up to
misshapen.
a
He looked
point.
like Denny Dimwit. And when I couldn't afford to go to the hospital, but when they'd say, "Let me see James," because I was going to name him Jimmy, and I'd say, "His name is Robert," and I'd throw the blanket over him, and I'd say to King, "Give him a beer. Give him a beer." Said I didn't want him to see the baby, and his grandmother said to him, "You wait and see. He's going to be the most beautiful baby you ever saw." And he was. In a couple months,
Yeah.
when we took him anywhere, everybody would say, "Why didn't you put him in a baby contest? He's so beautiful." Every place I went, people would stop and stare.
Oh.
Even your brother Joe, when we'd go out with Buddy, and Buddy was little and bow-legged, and Bob was along, and everybody'd say, "Oh, look at the beautiful boy." And Joe would say, "That's mine," because he wouldn't talk about Buddy, because little Buddy was so bow-legged.
Can you tell us about how much it cost and when you paid it off?
So the doctor charged $35. That was for $25 for delivery and $10 for circumcision. And he was, I think, 6 or 8 months old before we paid that out.
And the doctor come to the house and he says, "Well," he says, "time to circumcise him." We took him in the kitchen,
Put him on a
the
kitchen
blankets
table.
on the table, put the paper under him, and the doctor laid him down, and we were all there standing.
And I ran out. I went up the street. I couldn't stand to hear him
And
screaming.
there we were. I was helping the doctor circumcise him.
And then
Oh, did he cry and scream, my
Mom, would you
God.
like me to erase this off the tape?
she's gonna edit it. So then he was.
Bob's over here crying, just
He
thinking
was-
about it.
Yeah, it hurt, huh? He was about a week old when we decided to baptize him. It was on a Sunday, and we had the christening, and everybody came and left all the dishes. And then the next day we had years ago when you had a baby, you couldn't go back to the church unless you were blessed by the priest. You had to take your baby and go in, and he would bless you, and then you could come back to church. Otherwise, you were like a sinner or something. That was the rule. So I didn't have a hat, and Helen I had to borrow a hat because she had to wear a hat to
Whoa,
church.
why?
And she loaned me her hat, and she had a 21 size hat. She had a little head, and I wore a 22, and it was in August, and it was so hot, and the church was on top of a hill. And I don't know why, but I was carrying the baby. I don't know why he wasn't. He was walking alongside of me, and I'm carrying him in these blankets. Because years ago, you'd wrap a baby up even in the summertime. You know, you'd have him all wrapped up, you couldn't even see the kid. You'd cover his head and all. That's what's probably wrong with you, Bob. So then, we walking up that hill. You know that hill going up to the church.
Subjugated, circumcised, criticized.
See, you were really abused.
That's why he's so cheap now.
So, yes. So we're walking up that
I told my
hill.
wife I got an excuse.
You know that hill going up to
Believe
the
that on
church?
tape.
How steep that hill is? Well, I'm walking up, and that hat was so tight on my head, I felt like I had a rubber band around my head. And I'm perspiring, and I'm carrying this baby, and I finally get up to the top of the hill, and we go to church, And I go into church and everything is black. All I can see is 2 candles. And I said to King, you better take this baby because I'm going to drop him. And the priest come out, and I don't even know what he did, but it was so black in there, I thought he was going to faint. So then finally he decided to carry the baby home. But we lived, about half a mile away from the church.
There's a lot, and
We didn't have a car.
no car, nothing.
We didn't have a
Kids
car.
a week old, you carry them a half a mile up a hill.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when you come down, it was in a store, a butcher store, and clothing store, and Sam Jacobs, and he was one of the best.
He was a Jewish man, but everybody was against him, but he was very good-hearted, and he treated us great.
He treated us wonderful.
Because we couldn't afford to pay the rent and the food bill, and we racked up a $500 bill.
Yeah,
But eventually we paid it out. But Bob got so fat. He was fatter than I was.
Circumcised,
And
Yeah.
suffocated, now
What's-
fat, criticized.
and what,
Well, I nursed him till he was 8 months old, and somebody said you have to wean them on Good Friday, and then you won't have any trouble. So on Good Friday, I weaned him, and
He screamed until Easter.
yes, he screamed until Easter. And I was walking around like this. I could have nursed twins, and I was skinny. I weighed about 90 pounds. I looked like, who's those that have them big boobs?
Dolly Parton,
Dolly Parton.
Yeah, right.
she
They were
was.
like rocks. So finally, he got away and he started eating regular food.
And then he got so fat that she couldn't carry him. I could.
I would carry him.
So one day, Sam ripped on the side of the house for me to come down, one of us to come down. So I get down in the store, I said, what do you want? We used to go out in a truck, deliver food up to Old Forge and Plains.
Well, no,
Myers
also
Mills.
Sam was a bootlegger.
And there was a bootlegger, and we used to carry moonshine, see, and the
This was Prohibition.
Prohibition, this was doing Prohibition. So he rapped on the floor, I come down, and he had a box. He said, take this box out and put it together. He says, I don't want that girl carrying that baby around. He's too heavy. He's going to hurt her. So I took it out on the porch and put it all out together, and we got it.
It was a carriage.
Carriage. No. Yeah,
Yeah,
carriage.
it was a carriage. It was one of those.
Layers or?
No, it was a regular carriage. It was
Baby
only
carriage.
it collapsed, But that was during Prohibition, and Sam was a bootlegger, and they used to have all of these big, how many gallon
The
cans?
big water.
Full of alcohol.
Water jugs that you see now with the water in them, that you put the water upside down.
Oh, like a 5-gallon, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
5
those
gallon.
big silver ones like they're.
Yeah.
So we had a closet, and he said to me, I want you to store these cans of alcohol. And I was so dumb, I didn't know anything about it. I
You
said,
didn't know
put
what
it
the
in
heck.
there. So our
Could have
one,
blown up the whole place.
No.
no, so then they would put coloring in it and make
Oh, booze.
booze out of it and sell it because it was Prohibition. So one day when I'm there, the door, somebody knocked at the door, and there this guy is. And he said to me, I'm from the revenue. I'm a revenue, Department of Revenue or something. I don't know what he was talking about. And I said, what do you want? And he said, I came, we have to inspect your coal shanty. He said, I think that you have alcohol in your coal shanty. And I said, oh, I don't. No, we don't. We only have coal there. So I gave him the key because we had a lock and key on the coal shanty that was downstairs.
Go ahead, keep talking, Miss Ryan.
So I gave him the key, and I didn't think nothing of it. Right behind me is this closet from top to bottom. It's full of these
Full of
5-gallon. We could be in
They
a.
had cans, 5-gallon cans, and they put the cans in them, and they put the jugs on top of that. And what the hell, we left it go. We didn't think anything
I didn't
about
think
it.
anything about it. And I said, here. I gave him the key. He went down. He looked in the coal shanty. There was nothing there. He came back, gave me the key, and that was it. But right behind me is this closet full of these 5-gallons.
All that alcohol.
So our neighbors was an old guy and
He
old
liked-
couple, and they took care of you when you were little. Oh, they really idolized you. So every now and then he'd come over and he'd say, give me a little bit of alcohol. So we'd give him the alcohol, and then he'd mix it with something. And what we'd take out of the can, we'd fill it with water.
We'd give him about a pint, you know, and he'd make a quart out of that pint.
See, they don't
He'd
have
add water.
Who was that?
Mr. Zayat, and they had a daughter. Her name was Irene. So then they moved to New Jersey when, I guess it was during the war. He must have got a job in New Jersey, and she was a senior in high school. So they asked if she could live with us for a year. So she did while she finished her senior year at Kaufman High School. So the only thing is, we had one bathroom, and she'd sit with us. We didn't have any television then days. We'd sit and listen to the radio or read or whatever. And when it was time to go to bed, she knew it was time for us to get ready for bed. She'd go in the bathroom, and she'd be putting her hair up. She'd be in there for an hour. And he would be wild because he couldn't get in the bathroom. Well, finally that year was over, and she went, no, I don't think she lasted
No,
a year.
no.
I think you told her to move with her
Yes,
friend.
with her friend. Oh, she was getting among my nerves. What the heck?
So,
And then with that apartment in the summertime, oh, good God, was that hot. Wow.
so then when Bob was a year old, his Uncle John and his father went down to Wilkes-Barre on the streetcar, and
Oh, yeah, we went into
they,
Florida,
no, it was
Boston store.
it was a furniture store,
Oh, yeah.
and they went in and they come back and they were so excited. They come in and I said, what did you do? And they said, well, you see what we bought for Bob, because he was the first kid in the family after Jackie, first boy, and here they had this electric train. It was $15. Oh, I almost dropped dead because $15 was like $500. I said, how in the world are we going to pay for this train? You got to pay $1 a month. We were paying that train for a year and a half besides the $5 a month on our furniture. So it was really, when I hear these young people talk now about cars and furniture and houses and everything, I guess it just gets to me because they don't realize how people had it during the Depression when you didn't have any money. And but everybody was worked together, and our house was like the gathering point for everybody because they were all still single. So they would come around every night and sit and talk and smoke. Everybody smoked then. And Helen was smoking, and you can't believe Aunt Helen smoking, can you?
No.
Let me tell you about there's an apartment in the back. There was just like a porch with a railing around it. Yeah, we'd sit out there and everything, and then
It was like a little balcony.
balcony, and we sat out there, and that's my car, and this is your car, and that's
That
my
was the
car.
way we entertained ourselves.
Yeah.
We'd sit on this little balcony, and we'd play cars going by. When a car would go by, I'd say, that's my car, that's your car, the next car. And sometimes you'd get an old junk, and you'd be so happy when a new car would come by and say, oh, that's my car, because we didn't even have a car.
Did y'all, while I was gone, did y'all tell the story about Sam Jacobs and the clock?
No,
Oh, no.
not yet. I'll tell you that now. So Sam come up one day, he says, well, he says, I'm going to build a room on here for you. He says, I put windows in and everything, so they better
He's
build it
going
up.
to enclose our little porch.
We can close our wooden porch and, well,
It was
okay.
two-
Then I made screens for around the 2, 4, 6,
6 windows.
6 windows. And, well, you sat out there and I said, well, you got to do something besides this. So I went out and I bought the chains and I made a swing.
Do you remember that swing?
Remember?
I've heard the swing.
And we made the swing.
You would
and
swing back and forth. You'd almost go out of them windows.
Yeah.
it was a lot of fun though, gosh. So, wait till Sam comes back.
We know it's going.
And what we're going to talk about.
I know, but she's on the phone. You better keep talking. That thing is
Well,
going.
when we'd get company, and everybody would come in, Dutch and Walt and Young, Sakura, and Leo Caffrey and the whole gang would come around, and we'd them days you didn't have canned beer, only bottled beer.
We didn't,
And-
we had a pitcher of beer.
Yeah, I'm coming to that.
You didn't have
So
bottled
we
beer.
didn't buy bottled beer or anything because it would cost too much. So we'd get down, get a pitcher, a pail, wasn't it?
It was, no, a pitcher, glass pitcher, and you paid a quarter, and you'd get a pitcher full of beer.
So we'd get down to Bahampos, down the street, and get a pitcher of beer and then bring it back up. And there was about eight glasses in.
Yeah?
in that
And
pitcher.
everybody would take turns to run down the corner for a pitcher of beer.
And then we'd just sit there all night watching the TV and drinking
We
beer.
didn't have television. We didn't have television.
Oh, no, that's
We
right.
just sat
TV
on,
will offer.
Oh,
we didn't
and
have
then
television.
one time
Like 1950.
Yeah,
we went and we bought you a basketball set. Remember?
at Christmas time,
At
yeah.
Christmas time, a basketball that you could hang on the door. And the whole gang was to get in there, we'd hang the basket up on the door.
So that's
and
that little hall room.
in the
Yeah.
hall there,
Yeah,
and
but you were a
play
couple years, yeah.
basketball.
Yeah.
All night to entertain ourselves.
And I had my living room rug. Well, when you clean them days, you didn't have that good of a house sweeper. You'd take the when you house that was ritual. Twice a year, you house clean your house from top to bottom.
Took the rug out of the house and.
And when I'd hang mine out, there was all these on the outside of the inside of the rug, be all these rings from the pitchers of beer, because they didn't have any coffee tables. They'd put the pitcher and the glasses, and my rug was all pitcher rings of pitchers. And so Helen was smoking, and then this time the girls had all come over, and we'd sit and talk and smoke, and we didn't drink beer, the girls didn't. And he was working night shift, and we're smoking there, and Helen's smoking, and all of a sudden somebody sees my new sofa, some sees smoke, and her cigarette, the mash is still down in between here and burned the cushion. Well, you know how Helen is. Oh my goodness, she was so upset. She said, King's gonna kill me when he sees the new sofa with a hole in it.
Was she upset that she had done it or upset that he was gonna kill her?
She was upset about both, that she did it and that he's gonna yell at her, because everyone was afraid of him when he was young. He was such a mean,
Oh,
yelling.
I was a mean.
He was.
Mean what?
Mean son of a gun.
Son of a gun.
So he,
I-
so
I-
that,
This isn't rated, you can say whatever you want.
so
I
they
could,
would,
you know.
they would walk up to our house from Parsons, and they would walk along the railroad tracks, and that's the way he came home from work. So when they're going back, and Helen and Jean, and I don't know who else was with her, they met him, and finally she told him, she said, "Oh, King, please," she said, I burnt the hole in your sofa." Well, he didn't say anything to her until he come home, then he started yelling at me, "Look what she did to our sofa!" But the cushions were reversible, so it was okay.
It was all right there.
But our house was, because nobody had an apartment. Even when it was our second anniversary, they said, "We'll all come to celebrate your anniversary." And Bob's only a couple months old. Wait, how old was he? He was born in August, September, October,
6 months.
November, February, March, April. He was about 6 or 7 months old. And they all came around, and everybody brought something different. One brought a case of beer, one brought a bottle of gin, one bottle of something else.
No food, just booze?
And food.
Oh.
Oh, yeah, we had a lot of food. So they're all drinking and celebrating their anniversary. Well, I had a baby, so it's my apartment, so I wasn't drinking. Well, they all got drunk, and they're hanging out the windows, and we lived on a 2-story house. And they opened Adele's there, and she's got sick, and they're throwing up because they're mixing all these drinks. You know, they're drinking gin, they're drinking wine, they're drinking beer. So naturally, with all the mixture of drinks, they all got sick. They opened the windows, and they're throwing up out the windows and in my bathroom, in my sink, and there I am with this baby crying. And so finally,
Happy anniversary.
yeah, they're all sick, they're all fell asleep, and I'm sitting at the kitchen table eating with you, I think. The two of us are eating the lunch, and everybody's sick. And then I had this bedspread that I paid $10 for, and it was my prized possession. And here Dell comes out with wrapped around my bedspread, and she's shivering because she was frozen. And I said, I wasn't worried about her being sick. What are you doing, my bedspread hanging around your shoulder?
Throw up on my new bedspread.
So they all went home and nobody ate their lunch because they all mixed all these drinks and I'm telling you, it was a riot.
So, stop that now. So, to help pay, you know, for the rent and everything, they had a furnace with in the house with a stoker in it and one in the store. Now, when that son of a bitch of a thing would break.
It was always, remember, Bob?
Oh, good Lord.
But what's the stoker?
I spent more time
It
in the
was a
cellar
furnace.
when I wasn't working, trying to fix them furnaces up, you know.
A furnace is a stoker?
Yes,
The stoker.
it's like a heater.
It had a heater, you know, and it had a big pipe back into the coal bin, and it had an auger. And that thing would keep running, you know, and it'd bring the coal back into the furnace.
Feed it, put coal in the coal stuff.
Okay.
And a lot of times the pins would break off, and they had no heat. So they'd rap on the door, furnace broke. I'd get up, go over, fix the furnace, put the pin in the auger. That went on for years, honest to God.
One time we went out, we went up to your mother's for a holiday. We always went up there for holidays. Remember, Bob, we come home and the fish were frozen, goldfish were frozen in the bowl. It was that cold in our apartment.
That's in the wintertime.
Even the eggs in the refrigerator were frozen because that's how cold it was in that
He
apartment.
got mad at me one day, you know, and he had a controller down on the wall, and we had a controller.
And Joe and Lucy lived next door to us, and I could control the heat.
And he could control it down there, and he got mad at me. So this one night, he shut it off.
It
And
was
it cold?
It was a Saturday night, and the store was closed on Sunday. So I said to King, I knew he shut the thermostat off. And I said, okay, we'll fix him. He thinks I'm going to turn it on in the morning, because if I didn't turn mine on, his wouldn't work. And he turned his off, and he was trying to, I don't know what it was mad about, but I guess it was, things were getting tough, and he was trying to cut down on the coal. And it was cold, and I said to King, you better everybody put their heavy jackets on. We're not turning that heat on tomorrow morning. And when they come into that store, they're all going to have icicles on them. So Monday morning comes. We were putting carpets and everything on top of the bed so we wouldn't freeze. I wouldn't turn the heat on. So finally, they come in the store Monday, and it was so damn cold in that store. And I went down, and he said, what happened? I said, I don't know. You turned the heat off down here. He said, yeah, but you didn't turn yours on upstairs. And I said, well, I figured it was broken. But I knew what he did.
Yeah.
He never did it again,
Yeah.
because I froze him out.
So I was down fixing their sucker one day, and Mrs. Jacobs is in there, and I come up, I said, okay, it's fixed, it's running. I said, well, I'll see you now. She looked at me, wait. She says, wait 1 minute. She says, I have something for you to fix.
This was after he had died, right? Just
Oh, yeah,
her.
he was dead about 10 years or so.
Yeah.
Because we never knew Mr. Jacobs.
Yeah, the husband died, and we didn't know him, see? So she says, wait.
Now, wait. Old Mr. Jacobs was the one that gave you the carriage and all.
No, that
No,
was his son.
that
Oh,
was
that
the
was
son.
his son.
He
Oh, this
owned
was
the-
the old man. Ah,
Yeah,
okay.
then
He
the
owned
son
the
gave it to her.
groceries.
She
The
did.
son
She had
grew-
2 sons and a daughter.
Oh, okay, okay.
His daughter's name's Sarah.
Yeah, no, the granddaughter was Sarah Lee. Yeah,
Not the Sarah Lee.
no.
No.
So she says, wait.
Sarah Lee
She says, I want to have you fix something. She says,
Hannah.
no,
was,
the mother.
I know, but the daughter's name was Hannah.
Yeah. She says, I want you to fix something for me. I says, okay, what is it? She says, you wait. She goes upstairs, and she comes down with the clock.
That clock.
That
Amen.
clock right there.
Shall we turn the camera around and
Go
see the
ahead.
clock? Okay. Okay, there's the clock. Let me get a close up. Go ahead, you can keep talking.
She says, she went up and she brought the clock down. She says, Mr. Benesky, she says, I want you to fix this clock. I said, okay, give it to me. All right, bring the clock back. Get the camera back.
That's enough of the clock.
That's right, that's
Put it
right.
on
We
here.
know who the ham is in this room.
She says, I want you to fix this clock. I looked at it, I said, oh, that's a pretty clock. She said, you take it up and fix it, and bring it down to me when you get it fixed. I said, okay. So I take it up and put it on the table there, on the porch, on that little porch. I took a chair out there with me, and I set it down, and I took the back out, I opened the back up, and I looked in there. There was 2 bank books in the clock. So I picked one up. Oh, how much was it in that thing?
I think it was 10,000.
That was the small one. That was Anna. The one book is a white one.
But that was a lot of money in those days. That was like a fortune.
The white one had a $10,000 in it with Hannah's name on it. But the other one had $40,000 in the bank book. So I took the 2 books and I went down to Mrs. Jacobs. I knocked on the door and I went in. She said, yeah, what do you want? I said, Miss Jacobs, I said, I found 2 bank books in that clock. You what? I said, I found 2 bank books in that clock. I said, so I come down to give them to you. Oh mein Gott, she says. So she got on the phone and she called Sam. Sam, come quick, come quick, come quick. She said, Mr. Benesky found 2 bank books. 2 bank books. So Sam came in and he said, what's going on? She says, look what Mr. Benesky found in the clock. She said, we've been looking for years for that bank books. She says that he found it. So Sam says, okay. He said, give me the books. So she gave him the books and he went back. Mr. Benesky, she said, I'm going to buy you a suit and everything you want. I said, yeah. I said, I'm going to work on your clock. She said, I don't want the clock. She said, you keep the clock. That is yours.
So we got the clock, but we never got the suit.
Never got the suit.
Well, the suit had gone without it.
Yeah.
It'd have been down there.
Still got the clock.
Yeah, right.
So I fixed the clock and
It's still running.
it's still
Yeah.
running.
That's
I
an
think
old-
it's about time now we get down to Jeff and Brad. And here is 11:30. Oh, 10:30.
10:30. All
Well,
right,
we
want
still
to quit for
got-
now?
Yeah, that's
All
enough
right.
for now.
Okay.
Okay?
Then you're gonna have to edit. Okay, director.
All right, whenever you're ready.
Okay. Now, what'll we start out? Well, I'll start. When we got married, we moved into the apartment, as I was telling you in the previous tape.
Oh, this is the same
Oh,
tape.
same tape.
Yesterday.
Yesterday. And
Earlier.
we lived there from 1937 till Bob graduated from high school in 1956. During that time, King worked in the coal mines, and things were very hard. People had no money. And every day at noon, we'd have to sit and watch, we'd listen to the radio to listen to the mine schedule to find out if they were going to work the next day. And the prices were very cheap, but you didn't have any money. And if you found a dime in your pocket, you felt lucky. When Bob was 2 years old, that was the beginning of World War II. And that's when the coal mines started to work up. They were working 7 days a week. And my brother was in the service, and a lot of the young boys that we knew, our neighbors and friends, they were all drafted and then went into the service. So during the day, I would, besides taking care of Bob, I wrote letters to all these boys. I wrote letters to boys I didn't even know and sent them care packages. And King worked 7 days a week. Well, you know, when he was working at that time,
Yes, and then
he injured his finger on your what is it, your right hand or left hand? Your right hand?
yeah.
He injured his little finger on his right hand, and went to the doctor, and the doctor treated it, put a splint on it.
Put it on like that. It was like that. And then went to the doctor, and the doctor cut it, put a splint on it, and went up like that. So left it on for a week. Went to the doctor again, and he says, well, how is it, Bill? I said, well, let's look at it. Took the splint up, boom, down it went. Did it again. Come back the second time. Took the splint off, down it went. He says, well, there's only one thing left, Bill. He says, you either have to go along with that, hitting your nose and everything, he said, and what do you want to do? I said, cut the damn thing off. Not going to keep me hitting me in the nose. said, okay. He said, come down to the hospital the next day. Went in the hospital, put a taper on here, give me a shot, sat there, looked at it. I said, now before you start cutting that thing off, I said, when you cut it, I said, give me a good tape, good cushion on there. I said, because when I bump it and everything, he said, okay. He says, put it down there. Put it down and cut it off, and put the finger on the side and taped it up. Okay, he said, go on home. I says, can I work? I said, yeah. He said, yeah, go to work. So I went to work in the mines. And during the war, when you went in at 7 o'clock in the morning, you had to be at your work at 7.
6. You
no.
work from 6. We used to get up at 5, and we'd go to work, and you'd start at 6.
Well, you went in and got washed and everything, went to work, and by the time they put you down in the mines and you walked in, and
So if you started work at 7, you had to be there, be washed, be dressed, and ready down in the mines
Yeah.
at 7. You
At
didn't show
7.
up at 7.
no.
You showed up at what,
In
6:30
fact,
or
we
6?
started at 6 most of the time.
So went in the mines, and then the war started, and they were starting getting bone.
Well, you didn't finish about your finger. So he
Oh.
got $500 compensation for his finger, and that was like a fortune for us. And when we lived in that apartment, we had a coal stove. That every morning when I got up, I had to rake the stove and get.
I bought the stove with the finger.
The
money.
old, no, but not the first stove you didn't buy. We bought the first stove that way. We were so happy getting the $500. So we traded the old stove, which I had to shake in the morning, and you'd have to keep, if there was no wind outside, it wouldn't burn. And you'd keep waiting for your water to boil to have coffee or tea. So when he got the $500, we decided to trade the old stove in and buy a combination stove that had gas on one side and coal on the other side. So we were all thrilled about that because then we'd have instant heat. And we heated our own hot water. We had a boiler in back of the stove. So when we got the new stove, I said, let's call a plumber and hook it up. And he said, no, I'll do it. And he could do most anything, but not a plumber. He's not. So what? The stores downtown were only open on Thursday nights. So he said, when you go downtown shopping on Thursday night with the girls, I'm going to hook up the stove. So we said, okay. So we went down, the stores closed at 9 o'clock. We go down in the bus, and we come back, and he's just finishing up at 10, it was almost 10. So we go to bed, and he's, real happy. He has the stove hooked up. So we go to bed. So about 2 o'clock in the morning, I hear him. He's in the kitchen. And he said, Lucy, come in here. I want to show you something. I'm half asleep. I go prowling in there. There's the water in my was up to my ankles in the kitchen, and we lived on above a grocery store. So you can imagine what happened there. So he said, you better go next door and tell Tina and Chet, they were our neighbors, who just bought a new Oriental rug, and tell them the water, because the house was crooked, the water was running down into their house. So her rug was soaked. And he says to me, go wake them up and tell them what happened.
You go do it.
You go do it.
Yeah.
He says, me, Alice, go ahead, like Ralph Cramden. So I go and knock at their door. Good, my heart's beating in my throat. He said, what's the matter? I said, I think we have a problem. We have a flood. The water was coming out of the sides of the house. I said, oh, God. So he got up and, I think he was ready to drop dead. Shit was. We went downstairs, the tasty cakes and all the cakes were floating in the water. The boxes of soap had exploded. They were real fat. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry or what. So there we all got up and we were all wiping this water out because it was really coming out like out of a faucet, wasn't it?
The pipes come apart. When I put it together, I didn't clean the copper tubing out enough and put the flux on it. When I put the solder on it, I forgot to put the flux on it. And when I put it together again, the solder didn't catch. So while we were sitting there, when I put it together, it was all right. And then we went to bed, and nobody using water, the pressure got so hard,
So
mingled.
don't
Out
call
comes
him
the
for
pipe.
plumbing. Don't call in for any plumbing work. So then, we went down and we helped clean up the mess, and most of the bakers took their stuff back. The only thing is we had to pay for tasty cake, they wouldn't, so,
And so,
well, we bought $100 worth of soap, you know, but all of our friends, took a couple, because there were bulging boxes, and we had to pay to clean her carpet. And, then I wouldn't let him, he says, we're not gonna call a plumber, so that we ended up all summer without hot water. We had the gas stove, but we had no hot water. So finally, I got disgusted because it was starting to get colder and the winter was coming on. I said, I'm calling a plumber. I don't care how much it costs. So the plumber came and fixed it, and I said, how much do I owe you? And he said, $6. Well, that's the second time I almost killed him. $6, and what we went through.
Listen to Bob laugh. You remember
He
that, Bob?
remembers it, because we went up to Linden Court. I was waiting on tables. They were having a lawyer's banquet, and I was going to be one of the waitresses, and we had to drive up to Linden Court. Well, I was so...
Bob?
Just the whole summer without any hot water
We
for
did.
$6.
$6. When he said $6, I couldn't believe it.
Uh-huh.
Okay, go on.
all right, come on back.
So then
Well,
we-
that was the second time you almost killed him. What was the first time?
Oh, there were so many times I couldn't count them.
Well, you just said that was the second, though.
Yeah, well, I don't remember the first.
You don't
Yeah.
have the two of us on, do you?
Yeah.
So then, that was in, Bob was, I think, in high school, I was about a freshman. And we lived in that apartment until he graduated from high school. And then we moved down to a couple blocks away into a two-story house.
Why'd you move?
6-bedroom, because we got richer.
6-bedroom, you mean 6
Three-
rooms?
I mean 6-room house, 3 bedrooms and living room and kitchen, and we lived there until we moved
That's
to
only
Texas.
5 rooms. 3 bedrooms and a living room and a kitchen.
And a living room,
Dining
and,
room?
no, we didn't have a dining room, we had a big
And there were
kitchen.
3 bedrooms upstairs.
Okay,
in
that's
the back.
3, and then...
3 bedrooms, and we had a living room downstairs, and we had a sitting room with a sofa and a desk. Remember the mahogany desk? And,
And the kitchen.
and the kitchen, but there were big rooms.
So that could have been a dining room too.
It could have been a dining room,
It
but we
probably
didn't
was
have
a dining room. It was
But we had
between
such a
the
big
kitchen and the living
kitchen.
Yeah.
So then we lived there until we left and moved to Texas. But while we were still living in the apartment, when Bob was 7 years old, he got chicken pox while he was in high school.
In high
And-
school?
I mean,
Oh,
in grade school. He was 7 years old.
Like 2nd grade?
No, he was, I think, in third grade.
I started school at 3, I think.
Yes, he was
Oh.
he was a smart
He was no
kid.
angel, don't think he was.
He was a smart kid. So then he got the chicken pox, and right after that, he got scarlet fever. So when he got scarlet fever, in them days, they quarantined you. So Bob and I had to spend a month in the apartment, and they would bring us our food, and there was a sign on our door, scarlet fever, so that no one would enter. So after spending the month with him, then after that, he received First Holy Communion, and he had this little white suit on, little shirt and white
Aww.
pants, and he was so white.
That was so precious.
And, you know, after he got rid of all the chicken pox and the scarlet fever, he turned white. So I kept saying, there's something wrong with him. And they kept saying to me, oh, you're just imagining it. And I said, no, he's not acting right because he's such a little devil. And all of a sudden became a little angel. He's not moving. There's something wrong with him. So I took him to the doctor, and they took a blood test of him, and the doctor said to me, oh, you have to take him home and put him in bed for 2 weeks. And just don't let him move around and be very quiet for 2 weeks, and then I'll come and see him, because the doctor made house calls in those days. So after 2 weeks, he came up and he checked Bob, and he said, oh, we better wait 2 more weeks. So he stayed in bed 2 more weeks. So
They
then,
never told you what was wrong?
no, he just kept saying, you know, he didn't want to tell me, because when he did get better, I said to him, why didn't you tell me? And he said, because I thought he was going to be in bed for a year, and I didn't want to get you upset. So then they'd send the technician to give him a blood test, and they call it a sedimentation rate. They could know how your blood was, and it just wasn't right. So he was in bed from June, July. Gene and Bill got married in July, and the whole wedding party came up to his room. Remember that, Bob? And every time there was excitement, his temperature and his pulse rate would go up. I had to take his pulse rate twice a day and his temperature and keep a chart of it. And then when the doctor would come, he'd check the charts, and then he would know, uh-oh, there was some kind of excitement. So then that was June, and Gene and Bill were married July the 5th. And then they kept checking his, and it was going on, and then it was August. Then it was Bob's birthday. He was going to be 8 years old. And I said to the doctor, I'm going to have a little birthday party and just have a cake and have his cousins and his little friends come in. And he said, no way. And I said, oh, I'm going to have it anyway. He won't know. So I had the party, and Buddy and I think Teddy was around then. And Jackie Krislovich and all his friends came up, and we just sang happy birthday and blew the candles out. And then I made them go home. And it was in the summertime, you know, and all the windows are open, and he could hear the kids out there playing ball and all. And he's laying in bed there, and there's no TV, you know, I mean, to occupy it. So we bought him this little radio, and he'd play this radio, and then I got him this little knitting thing that it was a
I've
spool.
still got it.
Yeah,
I've got it.
and he would sit
Have you?
there.
Yeah, I got it.
He would
Good.
sit there knitting, and he had made this ball of, what would you call it?
Knots.
Knots. So then, when the doctor came after his birthday, he looked at his chart and he said, I see you had the birthday party.
You
His
didn't
pul-
lie in the
Yeah,
chart.
he could
Yeah,
tell
you
by the
should-
chart.
you should have lied on the
I
chart.
should have lied on the chart, but I didn't want to. So then it was September, and he came and they checked his blood, and then he called me and he said, I have good news, Bob can get out. And you hadn't been out of bed in 3 months,
Right.
not even to walk.
Nope.
I would pick him up and carry him right into the bathroom, and then I'd carry him back into bed. So then when the doctor said you can get him out, I said, oh, now you can get out of bed. Well, he got out of bed, and he forgot how to walk. And he was walking like a little duck.
He still walks like a little duck. Walks like a big duck.
And he was so skinny, and he's walking there, and when I see him walking, he said after he got his bearings and all, and he said he's going over to Jackie's. I was sitting watching him cross the street, and he's them little skinny legs, and he's just wobbling because he just forgot how to walk.
How much weight did you lose when you were sick?
Well,
She
it didn't-
only weighed about 130
I
pounds.
weighed, no,
No,
I weighed 100 pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was never that fat. So then that was okay, and he turned out to be a healthy guy, and
Look at him now,
it
boy.
was worth
Oh, God.
all of it.
Yeah.
So then we moved down to Dutch and Walsh. They moved about a house. They're moving in out the front door, and we're moving in the back door.
Oh, Walton Dutch lived in Washington Street?
Oh, yeah.
They lived. That's where they lived, and she was, so funny. And she's so mad at him because she said, she cursed like Dodo. She said, God damn it! She said, you don't even give me a chance to move out of the house, and you're moving in on top. So then we lived there until then. Bob graduated from high school. He went, college. All of his friends used to come around, and it looked like the draft board. Everybody thought I had the draft board in the school because they'd all come in and sit around and smoke their pipes.
And drink
Remember-
wine? You had wine for him on, was it New Year's or, what was it? You were telling
Maybe
me.
the New Year's Eve.
New Year's Eve, you'd have them all over and have wine, they'd all
Yeah.
sit and drink their drink their beer and smoke
Oh,
their
that
pipes.
was when we were young. No, but then Bob's friends would come over at after school and talk, and then when Arnie flunked out of college, they'd come over and it was like a wake. They all sat around moaning and groaning. So then Bob was going to graduate from college, and he was going with this Jane. Her name was Jane. She was from up in Northeast. Where was she from? Boston or Massachusetts? And he's taking all these courses in mathematics, and Jane decided Bob's going to be a teacher. And she's talking to him that he's going to be a teacher. So in his last semester of college, he decides to take, what is it, education? Become a teacher. And in the meantime, IBM comes, and don't show this to anybody from IBM. And they're going to interview college seniors. So Bob went to one, but he was always, he kept saying, I'll never make it. I kept saying, you can't be a teacher. Go and, you can work for IBM. You know all this mathematics. And he was saying, they won't hire me. They were only hiring guys with doctor's degrees and master's degrees. I just gonna have an ordinary degree. I said, no, you'll make it. So he went with a couple other guys, and the other guys were pretty smart. They were smarter than you, weren't they? That
They had
Polly,
better grades than me.
they had higher grades.
They were smarter.
Oh.
That's right.
So
Town
then,
Bob.
so then he went to Washington. That was his first plane ride, and he took off in a snowstorm in a little puddle jumper. The wind was blowing and it was snowing. It was in February, and I was worried sick that they weren't going to make it to Washington, but they did.
And he's still flying back and forth in
Yeah.
planes.
Still flying.
And that was the start of a flying career. So then Jane decided, since Bob got the job with IBM, that she's going to move to Washington. She's following him. She's like one of those groupies.
You tell your mother liked her.
They would follow me everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's
you said
right.
a string of women following.
Okay, that's enough about Bob. I gotta finish about the mines and what happened there and everything.
Okay, Bob,
Well,
that's it.
That's right.
Well, let her finish, then you can.
No, I just wanted to finish. Just let me finish, and you can come on again with the mines, and then you can have it all to yourself. Well, anyway, Bob got the job with IBM, and I don't know what happened with Jane. I think she got sick of following him around. She couldn't keep track of him. And then Bob started
She
living.
couldn't keep up with the plane schedule.
Yeah.
That's right.
So then he lived with Wayne. Did you live with Wayne in Washington?
What?
What,
And
3 years?
well,
Wayne and Shoal on bacon.
yeah, and they would come back and forth to our house at holidays, and Wayne would come at Thanksgiving, Christmas, because he lived so far away up in Maine. And then they were going to be transferred to Texas. I don't know what happened to Jane. I think she just gave up. Well,
What
also
happened
Bob
to
was.
Jane?
I went into service and then moved to Texas.
Yeah, you went to
Oh
service,
yes.
yeah.
Then he could have got out of it, but he could have got a
The service
deferment.
or Jane?
Out of
He
the
got
service.
but he could have got a deferment. But he said, no, I'm going to go in. So he went in for
Well,
3
I could
months.
give him deferments. So I had to go.
They wouldn't give him the deferment, he had it,
Yeah.
had to
Yeah,
go.
but you had
deferments.
you had that 3
Critical
months
skills, right?
3
That
months.
was, I had to do that or
Critical
go in.
skills.
critical skills, yes.
Yeah.
So we drove down. He had bought this little green car that we called Olivia, and we took a bus down.
With Chevy Corvair.
Yeah, and we went down, and Wayne and King and I took him to the airport. Well, I don't know who felt bad, King or Wayne or I. All of us were so sick seeing Bob going, like he's going off to war. He's going to South Carolina for 3 months to the hellhole of the South.
Well, I went right after Wayne got back. 'Cause Wayne
Yeah.
was gone first.
Yeah. So then we drove, we took Bob's car home with us and kept it there until he came out. Well, every day he wrote letters home, and he kept saying, why did I ever get myself into this? Holy Jesus, only so many more days. I'm counting the days. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I can't wait till I'm finished with this. He comes home with 2 sets of winter and summer uniforms. So then, right when you come home, is that when you were going to be sent to Texas?
Yeah, went to Texas right after that.
So he said, I'm going to be transferred to Texas. I said, he came home for Thanksgiving. When he was out of the service, it was Thanksgiving, and you come home and you said,
Wasn't that when he took a bus and a train?
He come home at Thanksgiving, and he said, I'm being transferred to Texas, down to Houston. And I said, well, don't come home for Christmas. I said, because you're home now for Thanksgiving, and you're going all the way to Texas. He said, I'm coming home from Texas no matter what. I'm coming home for Christmas. So, okay, he's only gonna have the weekend off. So he calls. and he
Things
said-
haven't changed, have they?
So, he said, meet me at the airport. So, we said, okay, what time? And he's giving us some sort of a schedule, but it was in the winter, at Christmas time, and you couldn't depend on the weather. And then finally the phone rang. He said, I'll call you when I get in. The phone rings, and I said, hi, where are you? He said, I'm in Boston. I said, what the hell are you doing in Boston? He said, we couldn't land in Philadelphia. So he gets to Boston. So then he said, I'll get a plane out of here. So he calls back and he said, all the planes are grounded. All the airports are closed. I'm coming in by train. You better shut that off.
That's all right, go ahead, you talk.
So we go to the train station up in Scranton. The train comes in. Everybody's getting off the train with all their Christmas packages and all. Wait and wait. Train empties. No Bob. Now where is he? We go home. We call. He never changed. I said, where are you now? He said, I'm in Boston. I said, no, you're not. Here he was downtown in the Greyhound bus station, so we finally got him home. He come home, he was home one day, he had to get back on a plane and go back to Texas. So then he working there for a while. How long was it till you met Sam?
Well, I don't know.
How long was he in Texas before he met you?
About 4 months, I guess.
Oh, so you came
So he
down
was
here-
Yeah,
living-
in December.
Yeah.
At June, what, April?
Yeah, because we had our first date. When was our first date?
Oh, sometimes.
Wait, let's turn the
Sometimes the
camera.
first half of the year.
Bob?
Sam, it's 30
Bob?
years.
Wait a minute.
That sound, my memory isn't that good.
You, Bob, when was the first date? Come on.
I have no idea. Sometime in April, I think.
No.
June, May.
No.
No. June?
June 7th. We got married one day less than a year after our first
Oh,
date.
oh, I didn't remember that. It's-
Oh, we forgive you.
Well, that's enough about me. Now,
Don't let him off the hook, Sam.
I'm not. Don't
Well,
worry.
anyway,
Don't pay for it.
when he was in high school, he used to say to me, what's wrong with you and Dad is your age difference. He said, that's why he doesn't want to go anywhere, and you want to go, and he doesn't want to go, because he's so much older than you. And I said, no, that doesn't matter. So when he met Sam, he wouldn't tell us much about her, but Wayne would tell us everything, because Bob was never home. He was always over Sam's apartment, because Wayne and Bob lived together. So I said to Wayne, what's she like? And he said, oh, she's nice. But Wayne wasn't very happy with Sam, because he didn't want Bob to marry her. So then when I'd call, Bob's never home. I would always talk to Wayne. So Wayne said, oh, now he took the TV set off. And he was always crying, things are getting worse. Then King would say, is she Catholic? Wayne said, yes, she's Catholic. King would say, oh, that's good. So then Bob would never tell us much, because we're always talking to Wayne. So then I said about
Wayne
how...
knew it was serious when Bob took the television set. I didn't have a television set.
Well, you had your wisdom teeth pulled, and that's when I think he went over there, and he was saying, oh, now he's over there taking care of her. She had her teeth pulled. And he'd go on and on. So I said to Bob, how old is she? And he said, 19. I said, 19? You're the guy that's always telling me I'm too young for your father. And she's, oh, he said, but she's very mature for her age. I said, never mind this mature for her age.
What'd you say, Bob?
I didn't know what mature meant.
How we matured then? I've just gone backwards.
So anyway, they got married, and Wayne survived. He got Sadie, and they made a perfect couple.
Well, but at our wedding though, remember Sadie caught the bouquet and
Yeah,
Wayne
and
caught
Wayne
the
caught
garter
the garter, and then they married a year later.
on our first anniversary.
And their
Yeah.
first, and they came to our house on their honeymoon. They were driving up to Maine, and they stopped and visited us on their honeymoon, and they're dear friends. They're good people.
Good friends yet?
Yes. So then, Bob and Sam lived in Houston, and we came down. It was in 1964.
We got married in 64.
Well, it was when was Jeff born?
65. We got married in June of 64. He was born in November of 65.
Well, we come down in March of '65,
Yes,
and it was your mother's birthday.
right.
And we went to that Green Moss or whatever restaurant and had dinner and celebrated her birthday in March. And that's when you told us that you were going to have a baby.
Mhm.
That's right.
And that was the best present she could have given her mother. The only sad part is her mother said to me, you have to come down and take care of her when she has a baby. And I said, well, I can't. I live in Pennsylvania. I said, you have to take care of her. We'll come to visit. And she said, no, you have to come and take care of her. So we went back. We had a nice visit. We went back, and then a month later, her mother died. So she must have had a premonition or something. So then things just went on, and before you know it, King's job came up, and they were going to transfer him to
Now,
this.
wait a minute, you're going too far.
Okay.
He sat still as long as he.
I can't stand it anymore. So I gotta tell you a little bit about myself. She was telling about our son and her daughter-in-law and Sam.
What was it? Her son and
No,
her
the-
daughter?
Our son.
Oh,
No, the
okay.
reason I'm telling you this is because I figured, Bob's, the reason I'm trying to wind this up, so then when she comes down at New Year or Christmas or wherever, and then she'll do this part about your mind deal, and you can take your pictures and show them. And so you have your own segment. So we'll go on with this, and I'm going to wind it up and then say Merry Christmas and all that, you know.
I think she's telling you to shut up is what it is.
So, no, we have to wind this up, but you get your...
You don't have to wind it up. Hey, I got another hour.
Yeah, but you're gonna take all the tape on me.
No, I'm not. You'll just have one part that I won't even interfere. In fact, I'll let you have the camera to yourself, and you can tell all about.
Yeah, but what if I forget what I was supposed to talk about?
Well, I'll be
I'm
over
with
there.
it.
I'll be over there coaching you. I'll
No,
help
you're
you.
not going over there, you're gonna stay right here.
But I mean, you'll have a whole segment on the mines. You can-
It's not gonna be much. See, because
Yeah,
I
but you-
have
I
some
know,
of the
but-
mines before.
I know, but
I
you-
just wanna tell you what happened when the war broke out, see?
I bet you
And we
can't
were
believe that
working
we're
on the
married
mines.
57 years after this, can you?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Because
So
I
I'm
always
gonna
win.
take it away from you anyhow now, so you might as well keep quiet,
Okay, go ahead.
okay?
No,
So, during the war.
don't ask for help.
Okay. If I bump you, that means
No.
you take over, all right?
No.
Okay,
Well, the
So-
camera's positioned in such a way when you bump her, I can see your hand.
okay.
So you're gonna have to kick her with your foot.
So, when the war broke out,
Which war was this? Spanish American?
no, I went through the other wars, all the wars, but this last one. So,
Now, see, I don't know where I left off.
never mind, that's good, you forgot that, because you had the whole camera. So, give me a little chance.
Go ahead, go ahead.
So,
I won't bother you anymore.
I worked, when I was working in the mines during the war, they had a meeting outside before we went in the mines, and the boss is all out there, and they says, well, things have changed now. We're gonna work longer. You're gonna work 7 days a week, 11 hours a day, till the war ends. So when you went in the mines at 6:30 in the morning, you stayed in the mines until 11:30 at night.
That was more than 11 hours a day, though.
That's right. That was 7 days a week.
That
You
wasn't
did
11
not-
hours a day, though.
Huh?
That wasn't 11 hours a day, that's more than 11 hours.
Yeah.
That's how long you stayed in the mines. From 7, you started to work at 7, and you quit at 11. You could not leave your job. You had to be on your job at 7, and you had to leave your job at 11. So it took you a half hour to get out of the mines, get in, get out, and take a shower and everything, and go home. See? So,
And he made $3,500 for the whole year, working those hours. I had to
Yeah.
get mine in.
so I went to Lucy one day and I said, look, Lou, I said, this is a hell of a thing. I said, the war is on. They won't take me in. We're frozen in the damn mines. I says, and I'm not making no money. I says, I want to leave the mines and go into the shipyards. So she says, well, that's up to you. So I went back to the mines and I went, oh, no. I told her, I says, I'm gonna go to the shipyards. She says, okay. So I went down to the Social Security. Went in, told me to sit down by the desk. Sat down by the desk and I told him, I said, I wanna leave the mines, I says, and go to shipyards where I can make some money. They won't take me into service because I was frozen in the mines. So she says, okay. So she started to write everything down and was there for about a half hour telling her about everything, about my life and everything, about the mines and everything. And she says, well, just a minute, I'll go over and get my superintendent. She went over and brought the superintendent over and we were talking and everything. He says, by the way, Mr. Benesky, he says, who is your superintendent? How long are you working in the mines? And I told him and everything, and he said, and who is your superintendent that froze you in the mines? I said, James Dixon. Oh my God, no. I said, yeah, he's my superintendent. He says, well, I said, I got bad news for you. He says, you're not going in the Navy, and you're not going to the shipyards. He says, so make up your mind, you're frozen in the mines, and that's where you're going to go, whether you like it or not, or you have to join the service. Well, I says, they won't let me. He says, you're going back to the mines. He said, they won't take you. They won't
They
take you to
need you in the
shipyards.
mines.
And I went back. The next day I went in up to the mines. Okay, put me clothes on, come out. Walking in the mines. Oh, and I was cussing everybody. I was telling everybody, I said, cursing and all, and walking up. I was electrician then. That's what I had another job. So this one superintendent, he came over. He says, "What's the matter with you?" I said, "It's none of your goddamn business."
Okay.
He says, "What do you
don't
mean?"
have to go into details.
So he says, get to work. And who would come around but Jimmy Dixon? Well, he says, big man. He says, he was just a short guy, about that high. He says, well, big man. He says, what's the matter? I said, you know what? I said, Hitler's not over in Germany. I said, you're Hitler. He says, what do you mean? I'm Hitler. He says, they wouldn't let me go to shipyards on account of you because you froze us in the coal mines that we can't get out of them. He said, see, I got you. I told you you couldn't do what I told you to do. So there we are. We're frozen in the mines. You had to go in.
It's critical skill.
Yeah, that was critical.
They wouldn't
Yeah,
let
they
me
have
let us go out.
Well, then we were able to buy our first car, which was a 1947 Pontiac,
Yeah, we got that.
because we were married 10 years.
Yeah, but you went and got a job as a waitress and I was a bartender.
Yes, we got a second job, and that's when we were able to buy our car.
Yeah.
It was $2,000 for a brand new 1947 Pontiac. And the first night we got it, we were so thrilled. The day we got it, we were so thrilled about it. We started driving all around town, to all our friends and family, showing them. I mean, he was opening the doors and putting the lights on and all. And the next morning we woke up and he went down in the garage and the car wouldn't start. The battery was dead. So I have to wind this up because this is for a Christmas tape.
Okay.
So going back to Texas, Bob and Sam lived in Texas and they were expecting their first little baby. And we were still living in Pennsylvania. And King had changed from the mines. She started working. The mines had closed down, which we never thought they would happen. We always thought we always had a job as long as the mines were there. And then one Christmas, about 2 weeks before Christmas, he came home and he said, well, that's it. The mines have closed down, no jobs. So then he had several different jobs. But then he was offered a job with this highway construction company, and he fixed these big electric shovels. So after working there a few years, they were going to build this big overhead bridge on this highway, and they wanted us to move to this little town called State College. So then he and I went down to see what it was like, and he and I were going to live in a trailer, and most of the men who came down couldn't bring their families because they had children who were in school. So that meant that we would stay there and he would be on call all hours of the day and night if the shovels broke down. So we went down to see the place, and when I saw what was down there, I said to him, I won't move there. And he said, why? And because they said I had to learn how to shoot a gun because the place was full of rattlesnakes. So that if we lived in this trailer, boy, there was snakes all around. And but he was all gung-ho. He's ready to go. And I said, no, I won't go. I won't live there. You can go yourself. I'm not going. So then he called his boss and he said, I can't go. He said, Lucy won't go with me. So the boss called me and he said, well, we're going to have to sue you. I said, why? And he said, because we made this big contract to build this bridge. And I said, well, you didn't make a contract with me. He said, well, we'll have to put you in jail. I said, I don't care what you do. I'm not moving to that town. So they were giving me all these threats. The only way I could get out of it was there were all these men going down there without their wives. And he was very possessive husband. And I said to him, well, I'll have to learn how to shoot that gun because if I'm not shooting rattlesnakes, I'll be shooting men because I'll be the only woman around there. So he said, we're not going there. So he kept calling Bob and telling him all this. And Bob said, well, why don't you move to Texas? So he said, okay. So we decided to move to Texas. And when we told everybody, they thought I was going through menopause. They said, you better take her and have her examined because she wants to go, she's going through a change of life and she's moving across country. So we had this big house full of furniture. We got rid of most of it, got a trailer, and drove down to Texas. That was in 1965. We arrived in Texas August the 25th. And that was a couple months before Jeffrey was born. So then we come down and Sam and I would have lots of fun when she was big as a house, running around. And then Jeff was born, and he was the light of our life. Still is.
When they got a job in the shipyard.
And then he got different jobs in shipyards and all over. And then he was in and out of jobs until he got a job at the Gulf Gate Shopping Center where he lived. Worked for how many years? About 13 years. And in the meantime, our second grandchild came, our Bradley. He's the second light of our life. And then we lived here, and then after so many, Jeffrey was 4 years. How old was Jeff when you moved to California? Brad was
6.
Brad was 2, and
two,
Jeff
Jeff
was
was
6. And Bob came home and said that he was going to be transferred to San Francisco, and he didn't want to go because of us. And I said, no, go ahead. And they moved to San Francisco, and we went to visit them several times.
How many times did we get down?
5 times. They were there 5 years, and we went 5 years. And then when we were thinking of retiring, we said we were going to retire to Florida, and Bob said, no, don't go. Come back. We're coming back to Texas, and they come back to Texas. And we have a wonderful daughter-in-law, very talented. She makes me feel like dumb, stupid, because she can do everything. And our grandsons, we've seen them grow up and go through high school and start a wonderful business. And Jeffrey married a beautiful girl, Megan.
Yeah, beautiful family.
And Brad's girl is out there in the wings waiting for him. She's coming next. So we wish all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, 1995.
How about that?
That's it.
Very nice.
All
Wrap it
done?
up.
All done.
All right.
So long, everybody.
Wave goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening. I'm a pain in the butt, but I'm all right.
They probably dozed off to sleep and didn't listen anyway.
Oh, that's okay. Right. Shut it down, Sam.
Well, when you
Very
edit
nice.
it, maybe, huh?
That was nice.